This is a KMVT sports presentation.
It's time for high school football on KMVT. Tonight from Foothill College in the Los Altos Hills, the Mountain View Spartans take on the winless Lynbrook Vikings. Glad to have you with us. Along with Andre Polizzi, I'm Brian Burkett. Mountain View shut out last week at Fremont. And Andre, this is a Spartan team which has lost 2 of their last 3. They're looking to rebound.
Yeah, Fremont's kind of making a back trail right now. They started off real good, looking for some kind of undefeated season, maybe a big victory over Los Gatos. It hasn't happened. They lost to Los Gatos, and now they're struggling in league play. They lost to Fremont, which now leads the division, as you mentioned. And tonight they have to give the ball to Milo Lewis, give it to him a lot, run the clock, run the ball, get touchdowns, and just dominate this game and get back to playing Mountain View football.
No sympathy from the Lynbrook Vikings. They are 0-7. Been a rough year for first-year head coach Bob Blaschke.
Yeah, and they got to try tonight to just stop Milo Lewis and stop Mountain View, because as Fremont and Los Gatos have proved, you can beat Mountain View by stopping their offense. Their defense is kind of suspect. Sometimes they play well, sometimes they don't. And if Lynbrook's going to win their first game of the year tonight, Brian, they're just going to have to stop Mountain View, score a couple of touchdowns, maybe find a way to get some turnovers and upset Mountain View. That's going to be the only way they're going to be able to do it.
It's chilly, and it's November, and it's football. And it's coming up next, Lynbrook and Mountain View here on KMVT. We're at Foothill Junior College, Los Altos Hills, and we are just moments away from football. Mountain View Spartans and the Lynbrook Vikings. Third member of our broadcast crew is George Devine. Let's go down to the field right now and join George.
Mountain View comes in tonight knowing the best they can do in the El Camino division is second place. That's because they didn't get much help from their crosstown rival Los Altos today. The Eagles with only 19 healthy players, including 2 linemen, forfeited to the Fremont Firebirds. That means Fremont is the division champion and gets the automatic berth in the CCS playoffs starting later this month. Something to keep in mind, Los Altos only has 19 healthy bodies. Tonight, Lynbrook only 24 men in uniform for the Vikings.
A depleted Lynbrook squad, as George mentioned. They will receive the opening kickoff. Scott Coleman to put it in the air. And we are underway. A booming kick by Coleman, taken inside the 5-yard line. Jacob Godkin on the return for Lynbrook. And Godkin tackled at the 27. Winds up being a 25-yard return. And that's where the Vikings begin.
Look at Fremont there, sitting on top proudly after their victory last week over Mountain View. Mountain View down to 3rd. Cupertino will win ahead, but Mountain View should even that up tonight against a Lynbrook team that, as you see there, is 6th and really had their problems this year. That Lynbrook-Los Altos game should be interesting, Brian.
Next week, November 8th, at Lynbrook. The quarterback is Kevin Boehm, number 16. He's a junior. The Vikings spread the field. Nobody in the offensive backfield, and Ungno putting the rush on Boehm. Quick hitch over the middle, and the catch is made. That's Sean Flood, a 5'9", 165-pound senior receiver. Number 17 will be calling his name a lot tonight. Ray Calcano has to be concerned as that opening play nets 7 yards.
Well, Brian, in our opening, we talked about what Lynbrook has to do to win tonight and win their first game of the year, and that's stop Mountain View. And you also do that on offense by controlling the clock and getting first downs and scoring a couple of touchdowns, and maybe some turnovers would really help Lynbrook tonight.
Ian Williams, number 5, lines up as the up back in this set. 2nd and 3. And the give straight ahead. 47, Josh Soberman, a senior running back, carries for the first down. Milo Lewis in on the tackle, and the Vikings able to secure a first down on this opening drive. 1st and 10 at the 38-yard line.
And you saw Bob Blaschke a minute ago, the Lynbrook head coach, and he'd really like to pull off an upset tonight. He knows Mountain View's vulnerable. They know they can't really have a shot at the league title anymore, so maybe they're already thinking towards the CCS playoffs and will overlook his club tonight. That's what he's got to be hoping.
Silberman wide to the right. 3 receivers over on the left side. 1st and 10, Boehm sending everyone into the pattern. The catch made underneath. Sean Flood with the reception. Dan Griffin made the tackle. And a gain of about 5 yards.
Well, we've talked about Mountain View's defense being vulnerable sometimes and not always consistent, having games where they're not completely there and not a great pass rush. And from the looks of these first 4 or 5 plays for Lynbrook, you wouldn't guess that they're an 0-17.
Ball is at the 44-yard line. Ray Calcagno with an early look of concern. 2 minutes gone by in the first quarter, no score, 2nd and 5. Spartan stunt, play fake, Boehm in trouble, dumps it off in the flat. The catch is made, and another Lynbrook first down. Ian Williams with the reception. And running over to make the tackle, Jason Buell, along with Matt Smith getting a start.
Look at that screen pass. That was the play they wanted the whole way. Perfect down the sideline and already getting right up against Mountain View territory on the front door, so to speak.
Just shy of the 50-yard line. Ryan Dom, number 28, running over as time has been called. Kevin Boehm goes over to the far sideline to have a word with his coach, Bob Blaschke. Meanwhile, Ray Calcagno looking to get his 6th win this year. Mountain View coming in 5-2 overall and 2-1 in the El Camino division.
Well, Brian, really a shocking loss last week for Mountain View. Granted, nobody took Fremont any seriously, but you realize Fremont knows how to beat Mountain View. They followed the game plan set by Los Gatos. You control them with your defense. Kind of stuff the running game a little bit. If Milo Lewis gets some yards, no big deal, as he did against Los Gatos. He got a touchdown, but no scoring for Milo Lewis last week, and Fremont took advantage of some defensive lapses by Mountain View, controlled them on their defense, and won the game.
Last year, Mountain View defeated Lynbrook 20-3. Dan Griffin just came off the field. It was an injury timeout. No timeout charge to either club. Zipping up the middle. That's Josh Silberman, wrapped up. Lewis McCardle and Milo Lewis in on the stop as they look at Griffin over on the near side. Gain of 5 yards. It is 2nd down and 5. Lynbrook now inside Mountain View territory at the 46-yard line. No score, 9 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Set up out of the eye. Give to Silberman. Silberman runs over Martin Corpus, takes it inside the 40 to the 38. That's a gain of 8 yards. George Fritz also in on the stop. Good looking drive for the Vikings on their opening possession.
Well, Brian, the one time we were here at Foothill Junior College this year was that Los Gatos game, and this is the kind of plays that Los Gatos ran. Runs up the middle, little screen passes that chewed up little bits of yardage, and Joel Greenmore had a pretty good game, as did Josh Rogers. And this is the kind of thing that happened against the Mountain View defense, and so far they don't seem to be too far into it emotionally here in this first quarter and opening series.
1st and 10 at the Spartan 38-yard line. Kevin Boehm, the quarterback, checking off. Silberman hit right at the line of scrimmage. Ong No able to make the tackle. No gain on the play. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Well, there's a good start for Mountain View's defense. It comes after a couple of first downs. But Ong No, as you're going to see here, charging through the line, unblocked, and making the play real quick. Didn't even get him for a loss, unfortunately, for Mountain View.
2nd and 10 at the Spartan 38. Lynbrook shifting offensively. Silberman wide to the left. Boehm under siege, dumps it into the flat. The catch is made. Good move by Ian Williams. Eventually run down by David Gaskins. Takes it just inside the 35-yard line. Minimal gain, 3-yard pickup. And the Viking fans bundled up on the far side. This play could have been a disaster, but they wound up getting positive yardage.
Well, apparently they've seen stuff like this all year where it hasn't gone for touchdowns and they haven't scored very much and they've given up a lot of points and there's been a lot of losses. So they're a little conservative about getting excited at this point. But, hey, if Lynbrook gets in position to win this game, look for that sideline to start jumping with joy.
3rd and 7 at the Spartan 35. The give to Silberman, very close to a first down, took it inside the 30, looks to be about a yard short. Michael Caldwell able to make the tackle and prevent Silberman from getting the first down. It's 4th and 1.
Well, interesting to see what Lynbrook would do here on the opening series, having a good march to start. Not needing too much yardage and already being in Mountain View territory, a punt seems kind of a waste and a field goal seems too far.
And the Vikings going for it, 4th and a long yard.
Looks like a quarterback sneak, Brian. Running backs are too far separated.
Ian Williams in a lot of trouble. Can't get away. Gaskin's able to run him down. Caldwell also in there defensively, and the Spartans take over on downs.
Well, you can't have your running backs that far separated when you need short yardage. You got to have them lined up in an I. And the running backs were 3 yards behind the quarterback, and they had 4 or 5 yards separating them. So not only does the quarterback have to turn and hand it off, he has to turn and go over to the side. He can't just hand it off to a guy coming right behind him. Not a good play for a 4th down and short, Brian.
6:20 to go in the first quarter. 0-0. Spartan offense on the field for the first time. Milo Lewis and Michael Caldwell, the running backs behind quarterback Billy Walton. That's Dan Griffin back in the game, in motion to the right. Got the handoff, and some daylight for Griffin. He's got the first down, still on his feet up to the midfield marker, and tucking it inside Lynbrook territory. First down Spartans on their first offensive play.
Well, here you see an easily developed play, simple blocking by Mountain View, springs Griffin. Then he has a good run in the open field. And they're already across the 50-yard line. Didn't take long.
20-yard gain. Jared Pace, a senior defensive lineman, backtracked to make the tackle. Griffin in motion to the left. 1st and 10 at the Lynbrook 49. Caldwell with a flag down. Tackle made by Matt Sueller, 6 foot, 175-pound junior. We'll see about the penalty. Chuck Camuso says illegal motion against the Spartans.
I think the running back made a little bit of a movement too soon. Chuck Camuso, it seems, in the last month and a half has really gotten a lot of airtime on KMVT, hasn't he?
Penalty is declined. It'll bring up 2nd down.
Lynbrook declining the penalty, taking the 1-yard gain. And it's 2nd and 9 at the Viking 48. The rest of the officiating crew, the umpire Steve Kohler, the head linesman John Baumgartner, line judge is Bob Schuster, and the back judge Jim Bruno. Veteran Central Coast section officiating crew tonight. Caldwell on 2nd and 9, can't find a seam, and he's hit at the 49-yard line for a 1-yard loss. Dan Welch, a senior, 5'8", 155-pounder in there for the tackle along with Steve Horner.
Well, I love the way Ray Calcagno is saving Milo Lewis for that big 4th quarter. Surprised to have him not getting a handoff so far. Their #1 gun, he's in there in the backfield, but so far, Ray Calcagno mixing things up. One good play has resulted from that. And we'll see what they do here with this situation.
3rd and 10 at the Viking 49-yard line. Lewis yet to touch the ball. Griffin in motion. Play fake. Walton looking to the right. Hits Griffin in the flat. He probes, has the first down inside the 40, near the 35. That's a 14-yard gain. The tackle eventually made by Mike New.
Well, welcome to Dan Griffin's coming out party. Griffin has not been the featured player in the Mountain View offense this year. It's been Milo Lewis, and to a lot of extent when they've had to pass, Billy Walton and Jason Buell and Jason Bull too.
Stace Russo also in on the tackle for the Vikings. No score, 4:20 remaining in the first quarter. This Spartan drive began at the 31-yard line. Mountain View took over on downs. 1st and 10. On the reverse, David Gaskins getting a block from the quarterback, Billy Walton, and Gaskins near the first down. Took it to the 25-yard line, and it's a gain of 10. He's got the first. Little misdirection by the Spartans.
Oh, great fake to Milo Lewis. The whole defensive line keyed on him, and Gaskins took off the other way with the ball. Picked up a lot of positive yardage before he was brought down, and Well, at least now we can say Milo Lewis getting involved in a big play. Although he didn't carry the ball, he did a lot to make that play work.
Lewis held under 100 yards rushing last week against the Firebirds, playing with a bit of a sore ankle. Not a major injury. Lewis doesn't look like he's lined up in the right spot, and Billy Walton spikes the ball. And you could tell that Walton was frustrated in that situation. He didn't want to burn a timeout. And now Walton and Ray Calcagno are going to have a discussion.
Well, they have a lot of time. They got 30, 35 seconds before there would be any penalty, so he just throws the ball down immediately, goes over to his coach and says, hey, let's get things straightened out. I know we can pick up a first down in 2 plays rather than 3. Yeah, you could see the way the camera crew had Billy Walton shot up before that last play, Brian. Walton was constantly looking over, trying to get people in position, and they never got there, so he just wasted the play.
2nd and 10 at the Lynbrook 25-yard line. Inside handoff. Lewis following a Santana block, and Milo dances in. Touchdown, Spartans. '21 goes 25, 6-0 Mountain View.
Simple handoff, off tackle run, right up the middle. A couple of missed tackles in that section there. And Milo Lewis making it look all too easy the first time he touches the ball. I think that's the play they wanted to run before.
Milo Lewis in his first carry of the game scores a touchdown. Allen Henley with a knuckleball. Did it go through? Yes. Allen Henley not going to get any style points on that kick, but it did split the uprights, and it's 7-0.
Well, good drive by Mountain View. They didn't have to do too much. Brian, we haven't really talked about it, but one of the things Fremont did really well last week is they put a lot of pressure on Billy Walton. Walton had a couple of pass plays on that little drive, and he was protected the whole time. Matter of fact, the only time he really didn't have any protection was when he spiked that ball, because the play really never developed. But if Lynbrook hopes to contain Mountain View at all, they got to focus on who the running back is. Most of the time, Lewis, probably from here on out, and try and put some pressure on Walton if Mountain View is going to pass at all.
Lynbrook has now given up 309 points on the season. They came in allowing on the average 43 points per game. Not a good statistic for Bob Blaschke's team.
Brian, I don't think the CCS keeps those kind of statistics as to what kind of records for points given up in a season by a high school team in its section. But you'd have to say that Lynbrook is on its way to what would be a record-breaking total.
Godkin on the return for Lynbrook, spilled at the 20-yard line. Jacob Godkin is a 6 foot, 170-pound senior. Good coverage by the Spartans.
With the return, tackle made by Colin
Godkin bobbling it a little, not having much room to run by the time he got his act together. And let's see if Lynbrook can put together a nice little drive of their own. They did pick up some first downs on their first possession, but a bad choice play on 4th down really cost them after they moved it into Mountain View territory.
From the 20, 1st and 10, 3:20 to go, first quarter, 7-0 Mountain View. Lynbrook spreads the field. A handoff. Ian Williams goes next to nowhere. Milo Lewis shot through. Sean Sanner also in there defensively.
Number 5, Ian Williams, the ball carrier. Tackle made by number 33, Louis Mercado. Number 21, Milo Lewis. 4-yard loss on the play will bring up 2nd down and 11.
Lynbrook
19.
last week shut out 25-0 against the Gun Titans. Lynbrook this season has been shut out 3 different times. Spartans stunning defensively. Kevin Boehm looking for Williams in the flat, finds him, getting a downfield block. Williams with a first down. Jason Buell pushes him to the boundary line. Big play for Lynbrook, all the way out to the 44-yard line.
Well, if you want to show off for the coaching staff, you can run the play right in front of them, and that's what Lynbrook's going to do right here. This is twice they've worked that little screen pass on the sideline. There you see the Lynbrook coaching staff right in at the end of that play and getting to enjoy another first down. Lynbrook has moved the ball pretty well. There you see Billy Walton having his left hand taped up. You know, in that game at Foothill a couple of weeks ago against Los Gatos, I guess that's 3 weeks ago now, he had a stinger on his left hand where he got his hand jammed up against the helmet, but fortunately that's his non-throwing hand.
1st and 10, the blitz. Sander causes a fumble. Sander feeds it over to George Fritz. The ball still loose. Looks like Fritz recovered it. Mountain View ball.
Well, that's the one thing Lynbrook doesn't need. They give up enough points as it is, and they have enough trouble scoring on their own. They don't need to set Mountain View up on their own 25 or 30-yard line. This is a great play, though. No blocking. Boom. Get the fumble. And try and advance it.
1st and 10 Spartans at the Lynbrook 29-yard line. First turnover of the game, 1:55 remaining, opening quarter, 7-0 Mountain View. Billy Walton, who has the plays written out on his left wrist, he just got his hand taped up. The give to Milo Lewis. A flag comes in late. Lewis picks up 4 or 5. We'll see about the penalty. Lewis with his second carry of the game.
Well, thrown right to the middle of the pile, usually where they indicate holding, and that's what Chuck Camuso's indicating.
Boy, penalties have been a real problem for Mountain View this year.
They had one game against Jefferson where both teams were penalty favorites this year. Mountain View's had a few games where they've just not been able to avoid it. Milo Lewis in the Los Gatos game even had a penalty where he wouldn't let a guy come up for his block before he blocked him. There you see this indication of holding against Mountain View, and that'll back him up, but don't count on it to stop him.
Penalty moves the ball back to the Lynbrook 37-yard line. Brings up 2nd and 18. Caldwell and Lewis, the running backs. Walton, play action to Caldwell. Walton, who was harassed last week by Fremont, he's on the run. Walton down the far side, takes a bit of a shot at the end of the play. Picked up 15 yards. Good run by Billy Walton, and here's another look.
Well, if Walton had been sacked on this play, it would have been what you call a coverage sack. The coverage downfield good. Walton, with nobody to throw to, has to run it. Last week, obviously, he didn't get much chance to break it away because Fremont, once they got near him, they tackled him, they contained him, they sacked him. And that didn't happen on that play. He got away and got back a good portion of the yardage they lost on the holding penalty.
The officials said Walton stepped out of bounds at the 29-yard line, so call it an 8-yard gain. And a 3rd and 10, draw play up the middle, a conservative call here with Milo Lewis plunging forward, tackled by Henry Chen, a senior linebacker. And an official's timeout, one of the Spartans shaken up.
Tackle made by number 77, Jared Pace.
It looks like perhaps A.J. Santana. And this would really not be a good injury for the Spartans. A.J., one of the emotional and playing-wise team leaders on this Mountain View Spartan club.
1:03 remaining in the first quarter. Santana being attended to. Mountain View on top of Lynbrook, 7-0. Well, the cheerleaders are getting this crowd into it. And there is reason to cheer because A.J. Santana is coming off. Looks like he's favoring his lower back.
That's an area you don't want to hurt. I had some back pain a couple years ago, and it took a while for it to go away, even with chiropractor visits. One of the funny areas to hurt. You don't want to hurt back there.
3rd and 7 at the Viking 26-yard line. David Gaskins in motion. The give to Milo Lewis. Sidesteps one tackler, swings to the outside, gets the first down. Milo Lewis took it inside the 15-yard line. Mountain View looking to cap on a turnover, and here's another look at Lewis's run.
Well, Milo Lewis mistackled once, breaks it outside, mistackled the second time, and brought down finally by Jared Pace. And Mountain View showing, just like we thought at the start, Brian, if Milo Lewis gets his hands on the ball and touches it and runs for some touchdowns and yards, it's going to be a long night for Lynbrook.
from the Viking 14, 1st and 10, 20 seconds left in the quarter. Up the middle, Michael Caldwell. Inside the 10, gets to the 9-yard line. Jared Pace in on another tackle. That's a 5-yard gain, brings up 2nd and 5. And that'll do it for the first quarter. Time expiring in the period.
And that's the end of the first quarter.
And the second quarter to start with Mountain View knocking on the door. At the end of one, the Spartans 7, the Vikings nothing. You're watching high school football on KMVT, along with George Devine on the sidelines and Andre Polizzi here in the booth. I'm Brian Burkett. Glad to have you with us here on KMVT today. Lynbrook in danger of dropping to 0-8. Lynbrook with 2 more games left on the docket. They play Los Altos next week, and then they close the season against Fremont. Fremont more than likely will be the champion in the El Camino division, barring a major collapse.
That'd have to be a pretty major collapse. They seem to be the best team in the El Camino. And all along, everybody thought it was Mountain View, but Mountain View with some struggles. 2 of their last 3 games have been losses. And the one that really hurt still was Los Gatos. That's the team they really wanted to beat. They have beat them in volleyball since that happened.
You look at the Mountain View schedule, and they got off to a very good start this year. Mountain View started off the season 4-0. But 2 losses in their last 3 games, and in those 2 losses, they've only scored 14 points. We begin the second quarter, 2nd and 5, Mountain View at the Lynbrook 9-yard line. Billy Walton under center. Milo Lewis gets away, looking end zone. He's in, touchdown.
Boy, how many missed tackles has Lynbrook had tonight on Milo Lewis in only a quarter and 4 seconds? At least 12. We touched on it earlier, this could be ugly if Milo Lewis gets to carry the ball and gets to run over people. He makes it look pretty easy. Turnover really costing Lynbrook.
Mountain View taking advantage of the Lynbrook fumble. Alan Henley comes on to try and make it 14-0. Both touchdowns scored by Milo Lewis. Henley knuckled one through earlier. Spot down. This kick not as ugly looking. Splits the uprights easily, and it is 14-0. Mountain View on top, thanks to the guy sitting on the bench, Milo Lewis. Well, sore ankle or no sore ankle, Lewis seems to be doing okay. Has a 25-yard touchdown run, now a 9-yard scoring run. That last drive, 29 yards in 1:59. The first Mountain View drive took nearly 3 minutes. It was a 69-yard march. And we head down to the field, get a report from George Devine.
Well, despite wet and heavy turf conditions, Milo Lewis has rushed for 2 touchdowns tonight. But you know, when you go to the racetrack, you see something called the Mud Sire list. It's on a rainy day. You bet on the grandsons and the granddaughters of horses that ran well in the mud. Well, one of those names is Secretariat. The moral of this story, no matter what the conditions are, the good runners always run well.
Short kick by Scott Coleman. Lynbrook better cover it. It's a live ball. Godkin picked up and took a shot. Sanner, who caused that fumble in the first quarter, was able to run down the Lynbrook return man.
Oh boy. Then he tries to run with it. And there's only 4 Mountain View players around him.
Yeah, it's not a good situation. At least he was able to get possession of the ball. That was a live ball. Mountain View could have come down, and if Godkin hadn't come away with possession, Mountain View could have covered it and been sitting pretty again.
A.J. Santana back in the game for Mountain View, Brian.
That's
looking okay.
very good news for the Mountain View Spartans. First down, Bam with a middle screen. Craig Gunderson looking for that first down and taking black shirts with him. Very close to the first down. Little middle screen here for the Vikings.
Hey, I say Lynbrook just tried the screen the rest of the night. That seems to be the play that's working for them. Try it to the left, try it to the middle, try it to the right. Don't run anything else. Maybe you'll get to the end zone.
And a Viking first down at their own 24-yard line.
10-yard gain from the 14 to the 24. Matt Smith in on the last tackle. (14-0), Mountain View on top. 11:11 remaining in the first half. Corpus on a corner blitz. It's a handoff up the middle. Big field for Silberman, and he's got the first down all the way out to the 40-yard line. Jason Buell in on the stop.
Well, Mountain View looking to rush the passer. There's no passer on this play. It's a run right up the middle. The rush was coming from both sides, and the middle was kind of left a little bit open. But we've seen Lynbrook move the ball on all three of their possessions. First one winding up in a bad fourth down decision, and a good defensive play by Mountain View, you can say also. And the second one winding up in a turnover, but both times they moved the ball.
First down, Lynbrook at their own 40-yard line. Josh Soberman lined up as a receiver to the left. Kevin Bame hanging in the pocket. He's got a man downfield. Flood with the catch. Buell tracks him down from behind and saves the touchdown. The reception for Sean Flood. He scored 3 touchdowns in a game earlier this year against Santa Clara, and there's a huge play for the Vikes.
Well, this is one of the ugliest throws you're ever going to see. Hit a little bit as he throws, and you can't see the ball way up there, but it is doing twirls like a gymnast. No Mountain View player around to stop it, and a great play by Flood to haul that one in. Let's see if Lynbrook can punch it into the end zone here without a bad fourth down call or a turnover.
51-yard pickup, first and goal at the Mountain View 9. Single setback is Ian Williams. The blitz on Bame, dump it off to Williams, incomplete. And George Fritz was right in Kevin Bame's face.
Couldn't get the pass to Ian Williams like he wanted to, and Williams would have had some room to run. He was out there by himself. There you see Williams going right past the guys that could have used a block. Dan Griffin right there along with a couple others. And let's see if Lynbrook goes back to the screen pass or tries to sneak a run up the middle here on second down.
Second and goal at the 9. 9:55 remaining in the first half. Mountain View 14, Lynbrook nothing. Vikings looking to get on the board. Mountain View looking blitz all the way. Fumble, Milo Lewis caused it. Ungno picks up. He could go all the way. No, sir. Ian Williams ran him down at the 25-yard line.
Somebody get Ungno some oxygen.
Ungno, he was thinking touchdown, but his legs had other ideas.
Watch this collision at the end of the play. You see Chuck Camuso throw his lineup card down to mark the spot of the fumble, but it's not going to matter because it's being returned. Look at that collision. Oh my goodness. That's like 2 semis meeting on 880. Well, another turnover for Lynbrook. A beautiful drive that they had, again ruined.
Ball is at the Lynbrook 24-yard line. First and 10 Mountain View. 2 turnovers by Lynbrook, and that one hurts. Milo Lewis straight ahead. First down. Very close. Let's see where they spotted. He needed to get to the 14. He got to about the 14 and a half.
Yeah, he's just a little bit short, about a yard.
So call it 2nd and 1. Milo Lewis has scored both Mountain View touchdowns. And as the Spartans come up to the line, quick report from George.
Milo Lewis's speed does the trick again. That time on the safety blitz, Mountain View blitzed 4 men out of the secondary and linebacking core. Lynbrook failed to read it. Back upstairs.
Walton with an end zone throw. Incomplete, looking for David Gaskins. Broken up by Mike New. Stace Russo was also there defensively in the end zone.
Broke up by number 34.
Billy Walton just off the mark there.
Well, you talked about Mountain View's Billy Walton having the plays on his wrist. Doesn't seem that everybody has the same play on their mind every time they go up to the line.
That's a good call on 2nd and 1. Take a shot for the end zone. Now you come back on 3rd and 1. Lewis and Caldwell split. This is Caldwell. He's got the stick mover near the 10-yard line. And on the stop was Tony Clabo, a 6'1", 190-pound junior. And also in on the stop, Craig Gunderson. This will be 1st down and goal to go from inside the 10.
Yeah, they marked it right at the 10-yard line.
At about the 10, just inside the 10-yard line.
8:40 to go, first half, 14-0 Mountain View. Spartans looking to capitalize on another Lynbrook turnover. Lewis dashing up the middle, touchdown Mountain View. The hat trick for Milo Lewis.
Oh, I called it, Brian. Give the ball to Milo Lewis. Let him run, let him dominate, let him have a breakout game after last week's disaster against Fremont. Simple counter gap play, right off the tackles, through the middle, touchdown again. Another turnover killing the Vikings.
And that's really a 14-point swing because Lynbrook had it on a 1st and goal at the 9-yard line. They coughed it up on that blitz from Lewis on 2nd and goal. Ungno with the recovery, and Lewis able to finish things off with a 10-yard scoring run. Alan Henley connects on his 3rd extra point, 8:26 remaining to the half. 21 has scored 21. A 3-touchdown lead for the Mountain View Spartans. And it's funny, Andre, Mountain View with the 21-point lead, but Lynbrook hasn't been stopped offensively. The only thing stopping the Vikings on offense is their own offense.
Well, we've talked about it, Brian. The 3 things that have stopped the 3 Lynbrook drives. 1, a poor choice 4th down call that Mountain View snuffed out all the way. The second one, a fumble play. And the 3rd one, a fumble caused by Mountain View, but a turnover against Lynbrook nonetheless. And all 3 of them have cost the Lynbrook Vikings.
Ungno getting some verbal razzing over on the sidelines. Ungno tried to bust it all the way on that fumble recovery. He had the open field, but Ian Williams caught him from behind, saved the touchdown. Spartans ended up scoring anyway.
Well, he's sitting on the bench. Does that mean he gets this defensive series off? If Lynbrook can even handle the kickoff properly?
Sean Flood on the return, cutting through the wedge, and a pretty good return.
Different return guy. God can handle all the other ones. I guess Bob Blaschke had enough.
Vikings start at the 33-yard line, 1st down, 8:20 remaining, 2nd quarter, 21-0, Mountain View on top.
It's kind of wacky. This game could be 14-14, 7-7, who knows? And Lynbrook could be driving to try and make it 21-21 if all things had gone considered. But that's why they run the plays.
Junior quarterback Kevin Boehm leads them up, another fumble. Josh Silberman able to fall on the loose ball, shadowed by Fritz and Griffin. They actually picked up a couple of yards.
Silberman never really had the handle. Was placed right in his hands by Boehm. No fault with the quarterback. You got to hold on to that ball, especially if you're running back.
2nd and 8, 35-yard line. Silberman peels off wide right. Now Ian Williams peels off to the left. Here's the rush. Boehm in a lot of trouble, hangs in. He's got Flood deep. The step on Griffin. Sean Flood is gone. Touchdown Lynbrook. And there's another big play given up by the defense of the Mountain View Spartans winds up being a 65-yard scoring play.
Well, this is going to sound a little mean-spirited, Brian, but it's a good thing he went all the way to the end zone because they probably would have turned it over before he got there if they had brought him down. Great play. Another lofted pass. This one, a nice spiral. Flood ran right under it and ran all the way to the end zone, so no chance to give it away this time.
Flood also handles the kicking chores. Lynbrook on the board. High snap. Got it down, and Flood bangs it home. 7.5 minutes remaining, second quarter. And it's now 21-7, 65 yards on the scoring pass to Sean Flood. In all, a 67-yard drive.
Well, what did we talk about, Brian, for Lynbrook to be able to win and get their first victory of the year? We talked about them stopping Mountain View. They haven't been able to do that so far. We talked about them getting some turnovers for Mountain View. They haven't done that so far. In fact, they've given up a couple of their own. What is indicative, though, is this could be a 60-60 game if Lynbrook was not turning the ball over. This could be a back and forth, knock down, drag it out offensive show that would have more fighting and more points and all that than the Foreman fight is going to have this weekend.
Hey, Lynbrook's used to these shootouts at the OK Corral. Back on October 18th, the Vikings and Cupertino Pioneers combined for a total of 96 points. Cupertino won the slugfest 54-42.
And if I didn't see all these Lynbrook turnovers here in the first half, I might be saying, well, heck, we could have a game just like that. I don't see Mountain View as able to stop Lynbrook consistently. They've done it on mistakes by Lynbrook and a bad call. A bad call not by the officials, a bad call meaning, of course, by the team trying to get a play.
Squib kick, nearly an onside kick and a fumble. Mad scramble. This would be a huge break if the Vikings came away with it.
Wow, these never work.
Chris Ellers, 59, indicating it's Mountain View's ball. But the officials say otherwise. Lynbrook ball. And how about that?
You never see the squib kick work. Well, every time I think I've seen everything, I see something different. I've seen squib kicks before, but it's usually when you have a team with a great return man like St. Francis's Charles Tharp. And the up man just booted that one away as soon as he got his hands on it. And Lynbrook gets a break. Hey, they can get right back in this ball game, at least offensively.
Looked like Jason Bull coughed it up. Vikings at the Mountain View 35, 1st and 10. Play fake. Kevin Bames sets up the screen. Ian Williams slips a tackle. Luis Mercado eventually able to wrap Williams up. Got help from Dan Griffin. Positive yardage there to the 27-yard line. It's an 8-yard gain.
Well, I think Lynbrook has feeled out, hey, if we have the ball the whole game, Mountain View can't score, Mountain View can't win unless we turn it over. Hey, they got the ball, they're driving again. That play continues to work. Ian Williams has had 3 or 4 of those thrown his way, and they've all gotten good yardage.
2nd and 2. The Mountain View coaches trying to figure things out here. Defensively, the Spartans haven't been able to stop Lynbrook. Here's the blitz. The toss to Ian Williams. He can't get by the first wave of defenders, but he didn't need that much yardage. He only needed a couple, and he took the ball inside the 25 to the 24. That's good enough for a first down. Milo Lewis over there defensively as the Spartans were bringing the whole kit and caboodle.
Mountain View got some extra guys up on the line that time. They trailed the play from the back, and the guys in the front were able to slow it down enough. The guys in the back came around and completely put a stop to it. But it wasn't enough. Lynbrook got the first down, and they continue to move.
6:13 remaining, second quarter, 21-7. Mountain View with a 14-point lead, but Lynbrook trying to punch one in. They've got a new set of downs. Everybody in the mix. Bam throws that one behind the line of scrimmage. That ball should be spotted where it went out of bounds. And that's a loss of 2.
Well, Williams was supposed to be there for the screen pass, and it would have been a backward lateral. You're right. There you see Williams in motion. That pass is for him. Williams isn't where the ball is supposed to be, or that was a poor throw. Take your pick.
This is a good call by the officials. The ball marked at the 26-yard line. That's where it went out.
Hey, Chuck Camuso, as you mentioned, his crew, veteran officiating crew. We've seen this guy on KMVT a lot this year.
2nd and 12 on the delay. Ian Williams. He's upended. Good open field tackle by David Gaskins. And it brings up a 3rd and long.
Well, this is about time for Lynbrook to bring back the flood the middle play. Just get the ball, let Sean Flood run under it, and go for another touchdown. What do you think?
Well, the screens and the flat have been successful. The middle screen to Gunderson earlier was a successful play for the Lynbrook Vikings. We'll see what the call is. 3rd and 9 at the Spartan 23. Another blitz. A middle screen. Nearly intercepted. It went off Williams' fingertips. Martin Corpus, with a diving effort, could not come up with it, and it's 4th down. You may see the Vikings go for it.
Yeah, why not? They can get the 1st down. They've made plays that have the distance. This one would have been a couple yards short unless he ran a couple more yards. Questionable whether he would have made it, but the pass too high.
And a good call. Corpus did trap that ball, incomplete pass. 4th and 9 at the Spartan 23. Mike New and Sean Flood are wide to the left. Lynbrook spreading the field. The rush on Kevin Boehm, and he threads the needle. The 1st down to Craig Gunderson. Gaskins goes for a piggyback ride along with Corpus. 4th down conversion, Lynbrook.
Much better call than they had on their previous 4th down, but they needed a lot more yards. There was no way they could run the ball.
Gain of 11. And a 1st and 10 for the Lynbrook Vikings at the Mountain View 12-yard line. 4:49 remaining to the half. Josh Silberman is wide left. Williams the lone back. He stays into block. The pass underneath. Mike New with the reception near the stick. He's covered up. David Gaskins and Dan Griffin made sure that New didn't advance the ball for a 1st down. It'll be 2nd and 1 at the 3.
Well, Lynbrook with a good pass play there. Nice little down and out. They used to call it on the pavement when you used to play in the parking lot with your friends. These kind of plays working the soft Mountain View defense. That room in the middle, the screen pass, those are the plays that work very well against Mountain View. Then you throw in a run. Surprise.
2nd and 1 at the 3. They bring in a tight end here. And a good reaction defensively by George Fritz. Peter Talk, number 35, 5'10", 185-pound junior with his 1st carry, and Fritz said, "You're not going anywhere."
Well, Fritz is a good player. He gets kind of not much notoriety with all the stars that Mountain View does have around. 6 foot, 185-pound senior. Fritz, a good lineman.
Fritz able to knock that play backward. Loss of 3 brings up 3rd and 4 at the Mountain View 6. 3:40 remaining in the half. 21-7 Spartans. Mix up on the handoff. Ian Williams lunging. He needed to get to the 2. We'll check out the spot. It'll either be 1st and goal or 4th and inches.
Well, the guy that has the yard marker says it's going to be 4th down and a half a yard.
Bob Blaschke, the Lynbrook head coach, wants a timeout. It is 4th and inches, and the Vikings take their 1st time out of the game. Fourth and inches, the decision to go for it, and let's see what the Vikings can come up with. Williams in motion. Another timeout. You know what? This is back-to-back timeouts. Isn't this a 5-yard penalty?
We saw this called earlier this year by the same team. Yep. That should be a 5-yard penalty. I believe it was Chuck Camuso's crew that called that too.
Well, let's see if the Vikings get caught here. Back-to-back timeouts. Now the field goal unit comes in, no penalty. And Sean Flood lines up for a short field goal. This is a 22-yard try. High snap. Flood shanks it way wide to the right. And another case, Andre, of Lynbrook getting inside the 10, but they can't put it away.
Well, I'd like to go over the Mountain View playbook, the Lynbrook playbook, Brian, because there doesn't appear to be a quarterback sneak play in it. They didn't try it earlier. They didn't try it right there. Either of those times it could have worked. At least one of the two times you figure it would have worked. And with the field goal failure, it highlights it all the more. Where is that play?
Well, Lynbrook having to spend back-to-back timeouts there.
You got to call it.
It seemed that they didn't even plan on running a play. It looked like they were trying to draw the Spartans offside. It didn't work. The ball out at the 20-yard line on a touchback. And Milo Lewis prancing up to the 28-yard line. Jacob Godkin in on the tackle.
Well, I don't know what Lynbrook's signal calling system is. You think there would be white 16 hike. Mountain View constantly using either black or gold, 21 hike. Yeah, it works for them.
2:30
having a big game, Brian.
2:35 remaining now here in the second quarter. 21-7, Mountain View on top, and the Spartans have all three timeouts. Play fake. Walton getting lots of time. Jason Bull is open. Bull one-on-one with Godkin, leaves him in the dust, takes it all the way to the 41 of Lynbrook. Bull was wide open.
Well, when you completely bite on the fake and you're trying to stop the run, you have to forget about somebody. And the tight end in that situation is supposed to be on the line blocking, right? Right. But if it's a pass, he's gone out for the pass. He's wide open.
First and 10 at the Lynbrook 41. Plenty of time here. 2 minutes remaining to the half. Duke Meek is in as a wide receiver to the right. Walton avoiding Gunderson's rush, and there's Meek. He's open, heading for the pylon, touchdown! 41 yards. Walton to Duke Meek.
Well, I guess Ray Calcano wanting to work on the passing game a little bit after last week, the passing game being a complete failure. Walton under a little bit of pressure, but not sacked. Gets the ball away nicely to Meek. And Meek just outruns three defenders. Touchdown.
Meek able to start out on the right side, cut across the field, wound up on the post to the left, had the defense beat, and it's 27-7. Mountain View looking to make it 28-7. Henley on for the PAT. The kick right down the pipe. He's 4 for 4, and it's 28-7. Mountain View with the lead, and Andre, again, it winds up being a 2-score swing. Lynbrook could have come away with a touchdown. They attempted a field goal, missed. Next thing you know, 80-yard scoring drive. Mountain View in the end zone again.
Well, we've taken 17 points off the Lynbrook side of the scoreboard, and we've put up at least 21 on the Mountain View side. Mountain View with one drive after that fourth down play on the first series that they can call their own, and everything else has come off of
Oh, what was that again?
Everything else for Mountain View has come off of Lynbrook. Hey.
How do you spell that? You can get back to me on that later.
Yeah, I'll write it down for you.
A minute 47 remaining in the first half. 28-7 Spartans, and Scott Coleman to kick off.
I say kick it to Godkin. Out for another adventure.
Godkin and Flood are the deep men for Lynbrook. Coleman addresses the ball.
Got my wish.
Godkin avoids a hit. Manages to hang on to the ball.
After taking 5 more.
Number 89, Sean Sander.
Sean Sander down on special teams to make the stop. Ball is at the 28-yard line. Lynbrook getting a 1st and 10 with 1:41 to go in the half, and the Vikings only have one timeout remaining.
1st and 10 from their own 28-yard line.
Well, I think the Vikings can get down the field in 1:41. Question is, can they avoid the turnover? And if they come up on 4th down, will they actually go for it? And if they actually go for it, will they get it?
Trips right. Mountain View pinning its ears back. Flags.
Penalty marker on the play.
You wonder if one of the offensive linemen flinched. Yep. Make it 1st and 15 for the Vikings.
Pretty simple night for the officials so far. Haven't had too many calls to make except throwing their arms up for touchdowns and pointing the other way after teams have been making turnovers.
Illegal procedure to call against the Vikings.
Andre, an illegal procedure penalty against the Vikings, and that might not be the last time you see that penalty because these Mountain View defenders, they are pinning their ears back and they are just ready to bring on a bull rush. And if I were a Lynbrook offensive lineman right now, I'd probably be taking a couple of steps back before the ball was snapped as well.
Well, Lynbrook not hustling as much as they were before that 1st down play was supposed to start and didn't.
1st and 15 at the 23. Milo Lewis shoving Josh Soberman to the ground. Griffin and Sanner also there.
Tackled by number 9, Dan Griffin, and number 21, Milo Lewis.
Now perhaps Lynbrook content now to let this half come to an end. Only 49 seconds and counting left.
Vikings have turned the ball over twice in the half. Mountain View with 1 turnover, but the Vikings unable to capitalize on that Mountain View giveaway. Mountain View, meanwhile, was able to take advantage of both Lynbrook turnovers. They scored touchdowns on both. David Perez trying to take the ball away from Josh Soberman.
Number 47,
Couldn't do it.
Silverman, the ball carrier.
And let's see, is Mountain View going to take a timeout? Yep, timeout Spartans. Stops the clock with 22 seconds remaining in the 1st half. Mountain View leading Lynbrook 28-7. Out of the timeout, Lynbrook runs on 3rd down. Ian Williams nearly fumbled the ball. Milo Lewis in on the tackle. Conservative play calling by Blaschke, and another Mountain View timeout. 14 seconds left. It's 4th down. The Vikings to punt it away. And Mountain View's going to get another shot.
Well, sure, they know they can score in 10 seconds. Let's see what kind of kick Lynbrook comes up with here. You know, you don't want to give them too good a field position. Maybe if you try and kick it away from the return guy, that'll eat up a few seconds, right? Because as soon as the ball's snapped, that's when the clock will start running.
New rule in high school this year, on any change of possession, if the play stays inbounds, it doesn't matter. The clock will not start until the ball is snapped. It used to be, for example, on a punt, if you kept the play in bounds, the officials would spot the ball, set the chains, and start the clock back up. That is not the case this year. Wobbly kick. And as Lynbrook kills the play, time runs out.
That's what I was talking about, Brian. Kick it away from the guy, give the clock a chance to run. I didn't think they'd let them run it all the way down.
We are at halftime at Foothill College. Good 1st half for the Mountain View Spartans. At the break, Mountain View 28, Lynbrook 7. This is high school football on KMVT. Start of the 3rd quarter, 28-7 Mountain View with the lead. 3 touchdowns in the 1st half for Milo Lewis. And Mountain View to get the ball starting this 2nd half. Along with George Devine on the sidelines and along with Andre Polizzi here in the booth, I'm Brian Burkett. Sean Flood kicking off for Lynbrook. Milo Lewis and David Gaskins are standing at the 20-yard line. Yep, here's a short kick. It'll be taken by Martin Corpus.
Martin Corpus falls on the ball.
Falls on at the 36-yard line. Good field position for the Spartans.
Well, this time Mountain View just did the smart thing. Ray Calcagno obviously told him during halftime, hey, if they try that squib kick garbage again, you just fall on the ball, let's get possession of it, and just march down the field and stick it in the end zone on them. That'll fix them. I don't know if you use those exact words, but I can imagine that's what I would say if I was coaching Mountain View.
Milo Lewis scored on runs of 25, 9, and 10 yards in the first half.
And a beautiful 41-yard pass to Duke Meek from Billy Walton, completing the Mountain View scoring.
Walton able to pick up the loose ball, and he's in a lot of trouble. The white shirts gang tackle him. Little mishandling of the snap from center.
And he's not even wearing a Lynbrook uniform.
Quarterback keeper dropped for a 4-yard loss by number 87.
72, Jeremy Davis, one of the first Vikings in there.
77, Jared Pace.
Davis, a senior, 6'2", 285. Tough to not see Davis with that 285-pound frame. Milo Lewis. Lewis tripped up, short of the first down by about 3 yards. Took it to the 43-yard line, leaves Mountain View in a 3rd and 3.
Milo Lewis, a great first half, 3 touchdowns, a bunch of yards. Didn't touch the ball on like the first 3 or 4 Mountain View plays, but since then it's been mostly him. Why not? Plays like that work so well.
A minute 15 gone by, 3rd quarter, 28-7, Mountain View with the ball and the lead. 3rd and 3 at the 43. Lewis surging for the stick.
Milo Lewis, the ball
Covered up by
carrier.
Matt Tueller. And let's see if it's a first down or not.
Number 87.
Very close, looks like a first down. Chuck Camuso inspecting and says bring the chain gang out.
Officials timeout.
Looked like he got it a little further than that, but sometimes the officials don't exactly spot it where it looks like they're going to spot it. They take into account where the guy's knees go down and where the play ends when they blow their whistle. We'll see, this should be pretty close. Billy Walton thinks it's a first down.
Last week, Mountain View unable to run the ball effectively against Fremont. Lewis didn't even reach 100 yards. It is a first down. And on top of that, Andre, Fremont was able to effectively run the ball against the Spartan defense. We've seen Mountain View's D give up some big plays tonight. Last week, 320 yards given up to one Jarek Powell of the Fremont Firebirds, a personal best for Powell. Powell scored 3 touchdowns in that game as the Firebirds shut out the Spartans 18-0.
Well, I bet it doesn't say it in the box score, Brian, but I bet they didn't turn it over.
Gaskins on the inside, handoff, and he's got some speed. Gaskins down the tightrope, and he is forced out of bounds. Looked like
Gaskins, the ball carrier.
Stace Russo ran over, might have saved the touchdown.
This is the epitome of how a sweep play is supposed to be run. Originally looked like it was going to go student body left. Winds up being Gaskins on the sweep down the right sideline.
35 yards on the game.
And a heck of a run play. Looked like he got all the way down to the 10-yard line, but he got out of bounds a little bit before that.
Spotted at the Lynbrook 14, 1st and 10. 10:03 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Spartans on the porch again. The delay to Lewis, he stumbled a little bit, and Jeremy Davis flattens Lewis right at the line of scrimmage.
Jeremy Davis.
72, no, it's not William the Refrigerator Perry, it's Jeremy Davis, 285 pounds. That's a lot of Davis.
Maybe they should try him at tailback. Works for Andrew Hill High School with their Michael Geeter. Wouldn't that be something to see that guy run?
I wouldn't want to get in his way. 2nd and 10 at the 14. Play fake. Walton in the flat. Nice catch, Jason Bull. Bull trying to get that first down.
For what appears to be his
And he's got it.
first down. It is a first and goal.
Well, he kind of turned around to haul this in. Look at that.
The 9.
Nice
First and goal, Spartans.
way to pull that one in with one arm and cradle it with the other.
10-yard pickup, first down and goal at the 4-yard line. 8:54 remaining, third quarter, 28-7 Mountain View. This drive began at the 36-yard line. The Mountain View 36. They're now at the Lynbrook 4, looking for more. Milo Lewis looking for his 4th touchdown. Might have tripped over his own man.
Lewis, the ball carrier.
Ray Calcano wants an explanation. Says we should have scored a touchdown on that play.
You know, Billy Walton's not going to be able to give it to him. Walton was running the other way, wasn't even looking at the play. But you don't want your quarterback anywhere near a running play unless he's absolutely essential to misdirection or something. You don't want to risk him getting an unnecessary block to the upper body that could put him out or something like that.
Lewis did pick up 2, second and goal at the 2. You might see Milo again. Michael Caldwell gets the call, and he plunges home. 2-yard run. Caldwell gets into the act, and it's 34-7.
Well, Caldwell got to be really happy about that, giving him a chance to dance in the end zone for once. Pretty simple run, right, blocking up the middle. Touchdown. There's another look at it. Lewis didn't even have to do anything on that play. He just stood in the backfield and watched Caldwell take it in.
That time Lewis was the decoy. Alan Henley. Good spot down by Jason Bull. Henley is 5 for 5 on PATs. 7:55 remaining in the third. 35-7, Mountain View in firm control. And remember, Lynbrook averages giving up 43 points a game. They've now given up 337 points in 8 games this year. Yikes. Not Vikes, yikes.
The only way that's good is if you've scored 350, 60?
Yeah.
More?
Yeah,
More?
between 350 and 400, right?
Yeah.
Number 82, Jason Godkin.
He only needed, what, 12, 13 more to beat Cupertino? Oh, man. We only need 29 more to here to win. There's Milo Lewis, has been a big part of the action and the lead.
Scott Coleman handles the kickoffs. He tees it up. That 2-yard scoring run for Caldwell capped a 64-yard scoring drive. Kickoff returns have been adventurous tonight for Lynbrook. Flood and Godkin are deep. Coleman drills this one. Flood from the 6-yard line. Sean Flood, pretty good speed. Gaskins with good containment. Waited for some help. And on the field for the first time here in the second half, the Lynbrook offense.
Well, we know the Lynbrook offense can drive. We know they can score sometimes. We also know they can turn it over. We also know they can blow it on 4th down. What will we see from Lynbrook this time? May as well throw darts at a board rather than try and take a guess. We know we'll see them get a couple first downs probably.
From the 21, 1st and 10. Josh Soberman is wide left. Nobody in the backfield. Ian Williams gets by Dan Griffin. Eventually, Luis Mercado runs him down.
Pass to Williams complete.
Gain of 8 to the 28.
Luis Mercado after about an 8-yard gain.
Second down, call it 2.
Well, you think if Williams has enough oxygen to do that all the way down the field, that Lynbrook could just keep going to that play. It's worked most of the game. Matter of fact, I can't really think of a play that has really failed except for the one pass where Williams and Boehm miscommunicated and Boehm threw a bad lateral pass.
Kevin Boehm has Ian Williams in the backfield. Williams, did he lose the ball? Yes, he did. Mountain View able to strip it. And And Lynbrook recovered. And Lynbrook
Fumble.
able to get a yard out of the deal. We'll get another look on replay.
I don't know how he got it back.
Gained it for about a yard.
It must have bounced right back to him.
Luis Mercado got his hand in there to strip the ball. 3rd and 1
Third and a long one.
at the 30.
Well, we know they're not going to run the quarterback sneak.
You're looking for that quarterback sneak.
Oh, we're not going to see it on 3rd down.
Simple draw play.
Number 17 fled the ball carrier.
Silberman able to carry for the first down.
Ahead for a Vikings
Got
first
plenty
down.
of the required yardage out to the 33. Only needed 1. He picked up 3 yards. And Mountain View defensively
From their own 33-yard
really
line.
hasn't shown that they can stop this Lynbrook offense. They've created a couple of turnovers, though, and that's really helped out.
Well, that can make up for some soft defense.
Yep. Jailbreak. Bam hanging in. And a great catch. Craig Gunderson
Pass.
over Martin Corpus brought it down. Jason Buell with the tackle.
Well, that Gunderson's 6'6", 215 pounds. He's a big target. And when you dart a pass like this right into the upper part of his body, he had to jump a little bit to get that one. But look at the size of this guy. He's bigger than every other teammate he has, and he really dwarfs our referee, Chuck Camus. My goodness, that's a big boy. Can you say Division I tight end?
Martin Corpus is only 5'5". He didn't have a chance. Really, Division I college tight end? You think so?
Why not?
Movement by Lynbrook. Mike New on the slant. Gets necktied by Gaskins, but one of the Lynbrook receivers moved.
Yeah, Sean Flood flooded the neutral zone. There you see him in the slot. There he goes.
2 men in motion.
Yeah, that's definitely only legal in the Arena Football League.
And Canada.
Against the Vikings.
You can flood the neutral zone like that in Canada?
Oh, sure, Canadian Football League. They got guys running all over the place.
Really? I thought it was just Arena.
No, no, no.
I know you've been up in the Canadian area and seen a lot of Canadian football games, so I'll take your word for it. The Canadian area. I don't know if they'd like me calling it that. How about the Canadian territory?
That's better.
Canadian countryside?
1st and 15.
Eh?
Bam. They set up the screen, and hello, Martin Corpus all over Ian Williams. You go to the well too many times, and sooner or later, this is what's going to happen.
Well, it's a nice screen pass. The problem is you telegraph it all the way, and eventually they'll read it. They read that one. Boom, didn't work.
Third down and 20 from their own 39-yard line.
The ball back at the 39-yard line. 3rd and 20. 4:12 remaining in the 3rd quarter. 35-7 Mountain View. Lynbrook in a big hole, and the Mountain View defense licking its chops. Bam checks off on Williams. Sends him far right. Draw. Silberman turned around. Good open field tackle by Caldwell, who scored the last Mountain View touchdown. And it's 4th down.
Well, they finally get a punt. Lynbrook hasn't had a chance to really do that. They did it near the end of the first half. But on such a long play, even Lynbrook not even going to try and pass it on that last one.
Kevin Bam stays in to do the punting, his 2nd punt of the night. Twin safeties for Mountain View. Gaskins and Lewis. This is Lewis. Lewis from the 24.
Milo Lewis on the
And he
return,
brings it
brought
back
down by number 46,
to the 33.
George Gunderson. And the Spartans will have it 1st and 10 from their own
3:09
38-yard
remaining, 3rd quarter. And Mountain View leading by 28 points. Next up for the Mountain View Spartans at Santa Clara, November 8th. They finish the season at home November 15th against Cupertino.
Those games should go fairly close to the way this one has gone, unless Cupertino can really pile up the offense. Hey, they did against Lynbrook.
Lynbrook receiver Sean Flood. You saw him hearing it from Coach Blasky over on the far side. 1st and 10. Lewis gains 5. Stopped by Matt Zueller.
Steve Horner and number 85.
Ball is at the 43-yard line. A 2nd and 5 for the Spartans. Milo Lewis with 3 touchdowns. Billy Walton with a touchdown throw of 41 yards to Duke Meek toward the end of the first half. And here in the third quarter, Mountain View getting back on the board courtesy of a 2-yard run by Michael Caldwell. From the 43, Caldwell surging. He's got the first down. Good tackle by Steve Horner. A new set of downs for Mountain View, and let's head down to the field. Here's George Devine.
Some of you at home might have noticed that Billy Walton was taking some warm-up tosses on the sideline. Usually this late in the ball game, a quarterback doesn't have to do it, but tonight it's kind of cold. I asked Billy, I said, well, is it hard to stay warm? He said, well, it was a lot harder last week against Fremont. But remember, Mountain View was shut out in that ball game. Much easier to stay warm when things are favorable on the scoreboard.
And Mountain View set up at the midfield marker with a 1st and 10. Inside handoff, Milo Lewis unable to get away from Craig Gunderson. And it looks like Ung No in back of the play is shaken up.
Well, Gunderson, we've seen him play a very good game at tight end, one of the few Lynbrook players having a great game. There with a full body tackle on Milo Lewis, and that's one way to bring the superstar back down. Probably the best way.
As you look at Lynbrook's defensive huddle, Ung No is back in the offensive huddle for Mountain View. Michael Caldwell literally stampeded Ung No on that last play. But No is all right. 2nd and 6. Pass underneath. Nice catch, Jason Buell. 1st down. And a flag at the end of the play. Might have a face mask from Dan Welch. We'll see.
Brought down by number 34 in the open.
Well, usually when you get some kind of penalty down at the end of a receiving play, that's where it is. And they see the signal there from Chuck Camuso. Let's see if we can spot it. Walton with plenty of time. Wide open Buell. And there's a face mask. Ooh, that should be a 15-yarder. He turned it.
It was actually 34 Emmy O'Payne, 6'1", 175-pound junior with the face mask, and it is a 15-yarder. Takes the ball to the 20-yard line of Lynbrook. A minute to go in the third quarter. Spartans leading 35-7 and looking to extend the lead. Billy Walton looking at his left wrist. He's got the plays on that left wrist.
Perhaps looking at his last drive of the game.
Counter trap. Dan Griffin following a Billy Walton block. He may score. He does score. Touchdown. 20 yards. Dan Griffin, the 6th Mountain View touchdown of the game.
Well, Dan Griffin and Michael Caldwell here in the second half getting some chances to do some running into the end zone. Look at Billy Walton getting out in front. Now he's leading the charge, and Griffin runs past everybody, breaks a couple of tackles. He's in the end zone. Almost too easy.
Apparently, when you've kicked 5 extra points, you need a breather, so Scott Coleman comes on to spell Alan Henley. Jason Bull to spot it down. Coleman puts it up and wide. No good. 38 seconds remaining in the third quarter. 41-7 all Mountain View tonight.
Pretty dominant performance by the Spartans. The defense not playing a great ball game. Got a couple turnovers, though, as you've mentioned a couple times. And on those 4th down plays have come through with the big stops. So overall, things kind of back to normal for Mountain View.
Remember, Lynbrook averaging 43 points allowed on the season. They've given up 41 tonight. You want to check out some of the scores that Lynbrook has been involved in this year. We'll get a look at the Lynbrook Vikings schedule. And these are football scores you're going to see, folks. Told you already about the 54-42 game against Cupertino. Look at that. 49 against Monte Vista, 50 against Prospect, 49 against Los Gatos, 41-0 loss to Milpitas. Santa Clara only scored 34 points. Gunn only had 25 points in the whitewashing last week. More trouble on the kickoff return for Lynbrook. It's a free ball, and the Vikings do cover it up. Number 60, Jason Chang, able to fall on the loose ball.
Well, you know what had to hurt the most, Brian, though, was those 2 weeks against Milpitas and Santa Clara. 49-0, 41-0. How'd you like to go home to mom after 2 weeks of playing football and say, we've lost the last 2 weeks 90-0? Oh, you were playing basketball? Oh, oh no, no, no. No, no, no. You and I have seen a few basketball scores like that in our adventures together, but wow. And Alan Henley there, you see him taking some snaps, which is why he wasn't working on his extra points. Probably going to get the rest of the fourth quarter to work on his quarterback skills.
Henley backing up Billy Walton, and it's about that time you may see some of the second stringers. Griffin nearly picked that one off, intended for Mike New.
Well, I was figuring, Brian, that series might be Billy Walton's last with the fourth quarter coming up, and Walton wanted to give it his all, so he went out there and threw some blocks on that touchdown run.
18 seconds remaining in the third quarter, 41-7. Mountain View with the lead. Coleman now in as a defensive back. Second and 10. Ball is at the 27-yard line. Kevin Bames slings it to Sean Flood. Incomplete. Coverage defensively from Matt Smith. Third and 10, and Flood limps back to the huddle. Bame heads on over to the sideline as we have 13 seconds left in the third quarter.
Well, trouble for Lynbrook when not even the offense is working against Mountain View. They've been able to move the ball, get some first downs here tonight, but some turnovers and, of course, some drive-stopping plays have cost them.
Third and 10. The rush is on. Pass underthrown. Flood tried to come back, couldn't get there. Donald Rains was putting pressure on Kevin Bain. Rains, 6 feet, 310 pounds. Big number 67 getting in the quarterback's face.
That's some big players on both sides of the ball.
Rains of Mountain View is a junior.
And how weird, Mountain View's gonna have to take a timeout here. Guess they had the wrong players on the field.
They may have had too many players on the field. 8 seconds to go in the third quarter. And the Spartans leading 41-7. The Mountain View Spartans, they've had a good run, started off 4-0. Then the 28-14 loss here to Los Gatos. Came back with a homecoming day victory over Los Altos, 34-7. And then the game at Diesner Field last week, 18-0. The Firebirds take it. Next week at Townsend Field in Santa Clara, and then home against Cupertino to close out the year. And Andre, with the start of November, that means you're coming to the end of the regular season, thinking playoffs. Mountain View, it's funny, just a couple of weeks ago, we were singing the praises. Mountain View at 4-0, they were cruising right along. Even though they lost to Los Gatos, they were still doing well in league. But after last week, a little bit of concern for Ray Calcaño's club. Well, Fremont now 5-0 overall, or I should say 5-0 in the division, 6-2 overall.
Well, I'll comment after we go to the quarter.
Final play of the third quarter. Michael Caldwell on the return.
Caldwell with the return.
Brings it back
About 10 yards on the return, brought down by number 46.
and is eventually tackled by Craig Gunderson. That is the end of the third quarter. 41-7, Mountain View with the lead. You're watching high school football on KMVT. And down to the sideline, here's George Devine.
Well, the Spartans seem to have this one well in hand, leading 41-7 after 3 periods. The question right now, will they get a CCS playoff berth? The problem is the El Camino division, classified as C League by the Central Coast section, only gets 1 automatic bid. There are other leagues out there, the A leagues, that get multiple bids and can get more depending upon the performance of their teams. So right now, the Mountain View game for the next couple of weeks becomes scoreboard watching. They want to look at the box scores of teams from the West Catholic League, the Monterey Bay League, and the Mount Hamilton division of the Blossom Valley League, the 3 A leagues in the Central Coast section, along with the Monterey Bay League. So that old game of scoreboard watching coming up for Ray Calcagno and company at Mountain View.
Well, Brian, we were talking about this just a few minutes ago before the play interrupted us, the punt. And another thing they'll have to watch for is the De Anza division, because the De Anza division is obviously going to send their champion plus a couple teams.
Yeah, they get 3 teams out of that division.
See, so the third place team in that division could be as good as Mountain View or better than Mountain View and go. And the second place team in the El Camino division might not go at all. So it's going to be up to Mountain View to continue to prove themselves here in the last couple weeks and see what happens to some of those other teams, especially in the Santa Clara Valley Athletic League itself.
First play, fourth quarter, 50-yard line. Dan Griffin, a little pirouette, and is eventually tackled by Sean Flood all the way to the 32-yard line. That's an 18-yard pickup, and we get a look on replay.
Griffin with a spin move. Who does he think he is, Barry Sanders? New quarterback in the game, by the way, Brian, as we suspected, Alan Henley, now handling the chore of handing off to people. Tough life, huh?
Well, a lot of the first stringers out of there now. Michael Caldwell and Milo Lewis no longer in there. 46, Jeremy Seas gets the call. And the Mountain View student body, they like to see some of their classmates that don't normally get to play get a chance, and they're pumped up here at Foothill College tonight as it's been all black and gold.
Well, Mountain View, certainly from the top of the roster to the bottom of the roster with more depth and better talent. Ray Calcagno having a lot more to work with than Bob Blaschke.
2nd and 6 from the 28 to the up man, and Dan Griffin able to get the ball inside the 25, close to the 24-yard line. Leaves Mountain View in a 3rd and 2. The tackle for Lynbrook made by Jonah Vinciguerra, 5'8", 150-pound senior. Third and a deuce. Fourth quarter just underway, 41-7. Mountain View out in front. Henley hands off. Jeremy Seas with the first down to the 20-yard line.
Jeremy Seas, the ball carrier, ahead for Mountain View.
The Mountain View volleyball team in attendance tonight, trying to stay warm on this chilly November evening. And that Mountain View volleyball team coming off a couple of wins this week. Victorious at Los Altos, victorious at home in 5 games against Palo Alto.
Somewhere in there was Liz Farmer, having changed out of her band uniform. Brian, before the game, she did the national anthem on the trumpet.
Fine rendition. Dan Griffin from the 20. Griffin zigzagging his way to the 10. Picked up nearly 10.
Brought down by number 34.
They spot the ball just short of the marker. It's 2nd down and 1, just outside the 10-yard line.
Well, Brian, getting back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier about the CCS playoffs upcoming, Mountain View going to be in Division 3, obviously, if they make it. Division 3 could be pretty tough. We've got some teams that might be coming up and sneaking in, maybe some dropping down like St. Francis. Who knows what could happen when the seedings meetings happen.
2nd and short. Dan Griffin able to acquire the first down. tripped up by Josh Silberman. And it's funny, last year, Mountain View won this division, the El Camino Division champion, and ended up going all the way to the CCS Division III championship game. They lost 34-27 to Los Gatos over at San Jose City College. But a nice 1995 season for the Spartans, hoping to get back to the playoffs here in 96. First and goal at the 9. First call for Johnny Huckins, number 32, 5'9", 145-pound junior, and Huckins able to get 5 yards. Second and goal at the 4.
Well, and a chance for Huckins to get some playing time. That's a name I don't think we've called out on any of our broadcasts this year. Some interesting stuff happening in the CCS rankings this week, Brian. Mitty, of course, dropping out, and Bellarmine falling down to number 6. And Hill getting up there in there, number 12 with Michael Geeter, and that's a surprising team this year. And Sacred Heart Cathedral even garnering some votes to get into the also receiving votes column now.
Huckins looking for that goal line. Johnny Huckins, second straight carry, got it to the 1. It'll be third and goal, and that would be a nice story if Huckins was able to finish this drive.
Bet you they give him the ball again right here coming up.
That'd be a nice touch.
There you see, look at San Lorenzo Valley, 6-0-1. Talk about sneaking in. And Bellarmine dropping down to number 6, and gee, I'm starting to wonder where St. Francis is, the way they're playing as of late. Tough loss against Bellarmine. Bellarmine winning in the final seconds, and Palma always there to see what they can do in Division I this year.
Quarterback sneak with Alan Henley. Touchdown, Mountain View. Andre, you've been clamoring for the quarterback sneak all night. There it is.
Wrong team. But Henley perhaps taking one away from Johnny Huckins and saying, well, we'll get the chance to go drive again, and this time he wants it, and next time Huckins can have it. I'm getting mine first. So Henley scored now, let's see, 5 extra points and a touchdown. He scored 11 points tonight personally.
47-7. The Spartans going for 1.
And Henley doesn't have to get all 7 points by himself like Flood did earlier.
Scott Coleman on for the PAT out of Jason Bull's hold. Coleman missed the last time. This go around, he's perfect. 48-7, 7:21 to go in the game. Mountain View about to win its 6th contest of the year and go to 3-1 in the division. Lynbrook still looking for its first win. The Vikings will be 0-8 overall, 0-4 in the El Camino. Andre, in those CCS rankings, Homestead at number 5, 6-1. Keep an eye on the Mustangs. Head coach Jeff Lamson over there, his team having a very good season, and the way the Mustangs are playing, there you see the CCS rankings. Homestead at number 5. They're clamoring for the days when Sean Dawkins was the star wide receiver over there. Of course, Dawkins now with the Indianapolis Colts.
I don't believe they ever won a CCS championship with Dawkins on the roster, though.
No, they did. They had a very good team. Late 80s, they had Steve Adler at quarterback. Ateka Huckabee and David Veeler were the running backs. Huckabee ended up going to Washington on a scholarship, but his career never really got off the ground once he got to college. Dawkins was a guy who wasn't even recruited coming out of Homestead High.
Well, he was probably stuck behind Knapp Kaufman up there at Washington. One more question for you about those CCS rankings. Where is Aragon going to fit in? What division are they?
I believe they're Division III. The Spanish Dons coming out of that Peninsula Athletic League.
I bet they'd like their crack at Mountain View or Los Gatos or St. Francis, whoever winds up in there. Maybe this year's SoCal, perhaps.
God can return the ball to the 30-yard line, 1st and 10. Division III, you could have a very interesting situation unfold with St. Francis possibly being in that mix. Kevin Boehm in a lot of trouble. Sean Sanner corrals him for the sack. And that's a 10-yard loss to the 20.
Well, Mike Mitchell's club a couple of weeks ago thinking we got to win a game. Now thinking perhaps CCS championship after all.
If St. Francis can run the table, win their remaining games, they have a bye this week, and it's conceivable that St. Francis could win its remaining games.
They should.
They'd finish up in the top 2 of the West Catholic League, and that would garner an automatic bid for them, even though their overall record would be below 500.
League games so important. It's right there's an indication.
2nd and 20 at the 20. Ian Williams looking for daylight. Williams stumbles ahead, gets the first down. Coming over to make the tackle
Driven out of bounds by Eric Cordero.
was Eric Cordero. Cordero, senior, 5'9", 155-pound reserve defensive back.
Yes, another guy getting a chance to hear his name called on KMVT.
22-yard pickup to the 42-yard line. 1st and 10 Lynbrook with 5.5 minutes remaining in the game.
Now Lynbrook hoping to get into double digits. One good drive.
Kevin Boehm checking off. Boehm steps up, launches for Sean Flood. He runs it down and he's in. Touchdown Lynbrook.
Touchdown Vikings.
Sean Flood
Pass to Flood.
with both Lynbrook touchdowns tonight.
7 yards.
That's a 58-yard scoring play, and the big play has worked nicely for the Vikings this evening.
Well, I'll say 2 things about this play, Brian. First, it did come against the 2nd-string Mountain View defense, and it's a nice play for Lynbrook. They get into double digits. They prove once again that they can score, and they know they have some offense. And on the offensive side of things, they can at least compete with certain teams. Second, Mountain View has to think that play worked against our 1st string too, and some other plays have worked against our 1st string defense too. And for the playoffs, we know we can score despite last week's shutout, and we'll just have to do some good job on defense.
On the improvisation, 2 points, chalk it up for Stace Russo. Russo, the holder, got a bad snap, and he just had to ad-lib.
Bad snap would have been blocked. He runs for it. 2. The deuce.
5:02 remaining in the game. Mountain View 48 and Lynbrook 15. Next up for the Vikings, the Los Altos Eagles. And if you joined us late, Los Altos forfeiting its game this week against Fremont. Not enough players, a lot of injuries over there, and Ron Moser's team deciding to forfeit.
What if they have to forfeit next week? Wouldn't that be something? What a way to get a win.
Well, that's a big game. Both teams are going to be looking for their first victory, and
maybe that's why you forfeited, keep them healthy for a chance to win.
it's funny. 2 teams this year have forfeited games in the CCS. Overfelt forfeited a game against Oak Grove a few weeks back. Now this week, Los Altos turns the number against Fremont.
Well, Fremont isn't Oak Grove, but
well, no, but
Overfelt, you kind of feel sorry for them. They've had some problems with their program, but Los Altos just undermanned injury-wise.
When was the last time, though, Andre, you heard about a school forfeiting 1 game in a CCS season, let alone 2? I mean, this isn't the University of Rhode Island we're talking about here. There haven't been protests on campus and so forth. It's just been the inability to field competitive teams, and you don't want to bring these junior varsity players up to the varsity as sacrificial lambs. Onside kick, live ball.
Onside kick recovered.
Lynbrook tried to recover it, but no official signal. And now the indication is Mountain View ball. Here it is.
Well, if we get the play rolling long enough, you'll see that the official points Lynbrook's way.
Right there. Even though the Mountain View player was sitting right on top of the ball.
Good job by our camera crew catching the official making a mistake.
Officials making mistakes.
Hey, they're human. This is a good crew. We have acknowledged that. And we will tell them when they are wrong.
We've seen this crew
Just like
enough.
you will tell me when I'm wrong. Yeah, well, we definitely have.
From the 44-yard line. Trouble in the offensive backfield. Jacob Godkin able to corral Maurice Hardy. Hardy, a 5'9", 150-pound senior.
Jason Godkin.
Everybody getting a chance to run the ball. Maybe they'll let Scott Coleman run it next.
Bring up second down 18 for the Spartans.
He's in there.
Andre, we've talked about the Division III playoff grouping a little bit. I want to talk about the Division I grouping after this play.
You mean the one that Oak Grove's going to run right through?
It looks that way. Henley in a sea of white ran into Jeremy Davis.
Number 72.
Spilled at the 35-yard line.
Jeremy
And it'll
Davis.
be 3rd down and 19. Bellarmine seemed to be another team to kind of keep an eye on in Division I, but then the Bells were upset at St. Ignatius a week ago. Mike Janda's club 7-1. Meanwhile, Ed Buller's team, Oak Grove, they've got all the weapons. We saw them earlier this season on KMVT just destroy St. Francis at Ron Calcagno Stadium. The Eagles are ranked number 5 in the state as well as 1 in the CCS.
And deservingly so. Ed Buller's put together a great crew this year.
Huckins, the ball carrier.
Johnny Huckins is stopped for no gain, and it's 4th down.
4th down for the Spartans.
Now the fans, young and old, hanging in there tonight with the Mountain View Spartans. Mountain View leading 48-15 with 3:15 remaining in the game. Oak Grove, Andre Carter having a super season. Offensive line play, defensive line play, the son of former NFL standout Reuben Carter. And then Lemuel Adams, a quarterback. This kid among the passing leaders in the Central Coast section. Deshaun Crockett, Jamar Julian, Chris Lacey, Rossi Martin. So many weapons.
I think you've just named enough names to score enough touchdowns to win the CCS championship in Division I. Oh my goodness.
Coleman handles the high snap. Lifts it deep. Ball takes a backward hop.
Scott Coleman's punt.
And Lynbrook starts out at the 48-yard line.
Well, Lynbrook a chance to put a few more points up on the scoreboard, probably against the second-string Mountain View defense, but it's really going to take an upset, Brian, for somebody to win Division I other than Oak Grove. Bellarmine, for a while there, looked like not just number 2, but perhaps number 1A, kind of the shadow of Oak Grove. And really going through the CCS schedule, kind of untested up until that matchup with St. Francis, and they almost got caught with their pants down in that match. They had to rally to win that one. But after that, a breather game and then a loss.
What about Live Oak?
Live Oak, a team that could win on any given night and perhaps lose on any given night. And you could say the same thing for Palma, although they're kind of untested too.
Stace Russo covered up by 3 Spartans. Johnny Huckins led the defensive rush as we dip under the 2-minute mark. Andre, last year Palma went Division I. This year they've opted not to move up. Norm Costa's team is going to stay in Division IV, and that automatically makes them the favorite in that small schools division.
Yes, definitely.
From the Spartan 44.
I have to say that you can probably almost pencil in, not pen in, but pencil in Bellarmine, Live Oak, and Oak Grove as 3 of the 4 teams with a wild card. Somebody else as the 4th semifinalist team in Division I.
Russo taken down behind the line. Good job by Chris Ellers. Minute 12 to go in the game, 48-15.
Maybe Lee, perhaps, in Division I, sneaking their way all the way up to the semifinals, even though they were upset earlier this season by Piedmont Hills.
Lazarus Sargenides, our producer and director tonight. Yolanda Harmon, our technical director. Thanks to all the gang. Good job as usual. Waning moments of the game. Kevin Boehm is sacked. Chris Ellers brings down the quarterback. And that just about does it.
Well, Brian, just some final thoughts here as we get into the waning seconds. A very solid game for Mountain View. The offense, fantastic. The defense, very good. Not great. Couple turnovers, really helping their cause. That Ungno run, just one of the plays of the game. And Mountain View, for them to go very far in the CCS Division III playoffs, continue the offensive work, let Milo Lewis have big games, run the clock, and play some good defense, get those turnovers, even if you can't stop the other team.
That is the end of the game. Final score, Mountain View 48, Lynbrook 15. Mountain View rebounds in a big way after being shut out at Fremont last week. The Spartans are 6-2 overall, 3-1 in the El Camino division. Lynbrook 0-8 overall, 0-4 in the league. Next week for the Spartans at Santa Clara High, Lynbrook takes on Los Altos. That game at Lynbrook next week. We thank you for tuning in tonight here on KMVT. Once again, the final score, Mountain View 48, Lynbrook 15. For our entire KMVT crew, George Devine on the sidelines, Andre Polizzi here in the booth, Brian Burkett speaking. Thanks for joining us. This has been a KMVT Sports presentation.